Hi there everyone. So today I'm going to be teaching you how to use the motion tool in Toon Boom Harmony 6. Oh, Toon Boom Studio, sorry. So I'm going to extend the exposure here and here. I've just drawn a quick circle and square. I'm going to add a peg and stick the drawing on the peg. Add a keyframe. Add a keyframe. Oh, I had the wrong tool selected. Okay. And then grab the motion tool. Move that there. And that there. So this is how you would use a peg to move the square. I'm going to undo all that. Because what we're focusing on today is, sorry, I'm a bit sick, it's the motion tool. So click here, add a keyframe, and by frame 20, we're going to want this over here. Well, you could do that with a peg, but then you'd have to add, the entire peg and set it all up. You could just go here, here's the circle, go to frame 20, click on the motion tool, and drag it to wherever you want. It'll move from point A to point B within the space of 20 frames. So that's what the keyframes are, is the spacing you want between what the object does, basically. Say if I select this, drag it back, it'll do that same thing but within the space of, 6 frames. Move it to 60. It'll do that same thing within the space of 60 frames, so if I play it, you'll see it's really awfully slow. So I'm going to undo that. Excuse me. And another way to do this is to click on frame 20, which is just an example, and move it. I didn't create a keyframe. It created it automatically. So just put the playhead on the frame that you want it to move to wherever you're going to move it to by. Click on it with the motion tool selected and move it there. It'll create a keyframe and automatically do that. So the difference between the motion tool and the select tool is if I move it just a bit so that it creates a keyframe, move, I want it to move over here by frame 30. Move it over. And now it goes back and forth, but I want it to be down here instead. So I'll grab the select tool and move it down. Note that the select tool is different because it just moved that entire thing. It doesn't do any animation, whereas the motion tool saves the beginning and the end, and the computer animates it in between. You can also do this same sort of thing with the scale tool and the rotate tool. So if I click on the scale tool, and then press I, it'll create that little arrow right there. That little arrow is a scale keyframe. And then I'll create another at frame 18, why not? And now if I want it to be, say, really, really tiny and long by frame 18, the computer will animate it from this shape to that shape automatically. And then I can go and drag it some more. It'll automatically create another keyframe. So now it'll go from this to that to back. You can also make it bigger and smaller, and you can do anything basically. So now it does that weird whatever it's doing. So I just undid everything. Now if we grab the rotate tool and start here, I have the rotate tool selected, press I, and that is a rotate keyframe, that little arrow that's on top. The other one was on the bottom. and then create another at frame 20, because I like that frame. Sorry. And now we'll rotate that. Then you'll see by frame 1, it'll start at this position, and it'll rotate to that position around 45 degrees by frame 20. Then say by frame 40, I just decided I really didn't like that and I wanted it to go the opposite direction. So I rotate it all the way back. Now it'll rotate like this, to like that, to all the way back. I probably should have used the square or something because you can't really tell if the circle's rotating, but actually, you know what? Go to drawing to just put a little dot on it. And maybe a green, because why not? Then if we go back to the scene planning, you'll see that the circle is rotating. So there's how to use the rotate tool, and the scale tool, and yeah, actually I'm going to redo all that. And so it's rotating like this. If I select the select tool, move it up there, it'll do the exact same thing. It'll just do it in a different location. So I think I've covered everything. But just to demonstrate how easy the motion tool is, let's just quickly make this ball bounce. So select it because I want it to start down here. Click that, and by frame 20, I want it way up in the air. Press I, make a keyframe. Bounce it up to there, and by frame 40, I want it back down but a little over. And by 50, I'll probably want it up there, and then back on the ground, and then just sort of roll away. So go to the beginning, press play, and you'll see it does a very slow bounce up, and then over. So that's how easy that is. With the peg, I would have to, make a peg, make the keyframe, drag it out. I'd be a little sarcastic. This is actually quite easy. Drag the circle onto it, click on the peg, and hold Option, and it creates those little nodes, which then you could drag like that. So now this is gonna be weird. It's gonna be using my other keyframes, and it's using both the peg and the motion tool at the same time and creating a really wonky movement. So what I'm gonna do is Control R, Control R, Control R, Control R. You get the point. I'm going to remove all the keyframes from the drawing, not from the peg. And now the peg is making it move and not the motion tool. So I'm a bit biased. I really do love the motion tool, but that's it, really. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.